the only thing that's ever made me money has been making winning VSLs. After like 2 years, I decided this sucks balls. If movies die, then I'll be concerned that VSLs die. But people will binge watch 8 hours of videos at any moment. All the biggest campaigns that I've ever had has one thing in common. That will help you create a story that nobody else and none of your competitors can sell. Because if you want to be different with your ads, you have to say something nobody else can say. Anyone who becomes the greatest at a space probably had a great rock bottom moment, which really painfulized them and inspired them to become one of the greats. So there's something going on there. But as for the younger guys who are just getting started, the best way to go is...
Peter, good to have you. You are a tornado of energy. First time I met you was like 10 years ago or like 9, like briefly.
Yeah, long time. Yes.
And you've been doing a lot of different things and you come in, you figure things out, you scale up and you dip onto the next thing. So where does that come from? And why don't you stick longer to something?
Yeah, so I mean, at the core of it, right, I started out on the internet because I just wanted to make $50,000 every 2 weeks on a laptop with my feet in the sand on an island. That was the core idea. You know, eventually met my mentors, got into Facebook ads, and learned that VSLs were the way to do that. So I became a student of video sales letters. I remember listening to Malin Darris a long time ago, and he was talking about how the most important thing is to become a master of a traffic source, not a master of an offer, so you could rotate offers. And I loved that idea. So it was Facebook and it was VSLs. That's how you master ad platforms, is to get really good at making creatives. I did all sorts of different stuff. And there were mistakes that I made for sure. Like my skincare brand still continually, they did 40 million his first year, and it's done definitely 8 figures, could be even close to 9 figures a year now in sales. And I was bouncing around, you know, doing like, because I don't know, I was just like hooked on this idea. Well, actually, to fix it, now that you're making me think about it, the only thing I've been going after is like jet money at a young age. Yeah. After we got the Caribbean gold, the next thing was like jet money at a young age. So if I make millions of dollars, right, that's not jet money. Every time I make millions of dollars, to me, that's like getting in the Super Bowl and having an opportunity to play for tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. So I take these massive swings and I try to take swings to get to where I'm going sooner rather than later, because I would love to be super young with a jet than super old with a jet. I'm going to be super old with a jet too, but I would love to have super young also. So every single time that I've bounced to a different thing, like the skincare brand, I was like, I'd rather have a bunch of money and YOLO invested into crypto. That was mainly it. So I took the money and swung at that. It didn't go out. And then I was kind of over econ. I was like, I don't really want to fucking do that again. So when I found Mind Valley, I was like, dope, this is another chance. Boom, put the money back in it, revamped my life up, made millions of dollars again. And then that was great, but it wasn't like tens of millions of dollars. So I was like, all right, we got to take another swing. I don't want to YOLO invest everything in crypto. I'm still going to do some crazy crypto stuff. But this game was like, hey, and I didn't really want to do any courses because that was all courses. So now I did e-com, I did affiliate, and I did courses.
You did courses.
And I'm like, okay, now I got to do AI. If I do 40 million a year on an AI company, that's definitely jet money at an early age. So the core thing was video sales letters. Always stick with high big campaigns on VSLs, but just testing offers has really been my whole career.
Yeah, I mean, if you wouldn't have done that, you probably wouldn't have gotten to like Mind Valley or other things. So I think everything happens for a reason, and the finish line is there's no finish line. So God knows what happens next.
It's not much of a finish line. It's more like a graduation in my respect.
Yeah.
Right? It's like when you graduate college, you become a master of the business realm. To be a master at business is you got yourself jet. Every financial dream you've ever wanted. To me, that's a jet. That means I'm a master. Cool. Then I have a degree. Then I can go get a.
So what jet are we talking about?
Well, listen, I actually don't care as much as owning a jet. I mostly care about at least 2 jet trips a month. Super sick fucking mansion you're living in. Maybe it like rent is 50 grand a month or whatever. You got a sick fleet of cars. You got a good shopping spree, and you have an abundance of wealth to go give back at the same time. That's like 300 grand a month autopilot. And that's about $60 million invested like at like whatever, very small interest rate. So to me, mastery is around $60 million, but that's just my mastery.
Yeah, I feel like the golden number is even lower. Like once I met this guy and he was like, how much is a lot of money? And I looked at him, was like, I don't know, 100 million. And he was like, no, you need $1 a year to live a good life. And that's it. And I was like, 1 million. I was like, yeah, 1 million a year. because that's all you need to live an insane life and spend on it. So I did a few calculations, like I don't get quite to $1 million, but then I was like, okay, how much you need to have in your bank and make at least like just 5% to make $1 million? It's $20 million. So what are you doing now?
So I officially, when I took my next swing at Jet Money through the AI company, I thought AI was definitely the play. I thought it was definitely cool. I started VSL.ai, then I started Genius.ai, and I just dumped everything into, building a product that people love so that I can advertise it and blow it the fuck up and then make shitloads of money. Well, turned out that was not a blessed business from a God's perspective for me, because that shit did not work. And I just like bled hundreds of thousands a month on building this AI company. And I ended up just shutting it down at the end of the day. After like 2 years, I decided this fucking shit sucks balls. I had to sell my Aventador.
Okay.
I hate it because I love my Aventador. I love that freaking car, but I had to sell it because I was burning so much money, which was a bummer. Basically, that was my third swing at winning. I call it winning the Super Bowl, is when you make $60 million. That's like our version of a Super Bowl gold medal in the business world, is you just like that kind of thing. So I feel like I keep making it to the Super Bowl, and the last 3 swings didn't play out. So anyway, I start going to Joe. Here we go. What do you do? I've been in this situation so many fucking times. You got to get back into manifesting, get clear on what you're calling into reality. And now I don't want to talk about what we're doing, because there's still like there's the energy of it. When you have a really cool idea, when you tell a friend and it's too early, like maybe you get a cool phone call and you tell somebody, it kind of like, there's like when energy is fucking going on inside of you, there's a time where you want to keep it to yourself. There's a time you want to share it.
Yeah.
And put it out in the universe. That way you're holding the container of the energy as it's being created. It's like being pregnant in your brain. The idea is pregnant. You don't like, it's fucking sensitive, and you don't want people's energy flowing out. But I will tell you, it has to do with making the biggest campaigns on the planet, like it always has to fucking do. So at the end of the day, right, it's always the same thing. You got to make a massive campaign.
Yeah.
And I got lost a little bit from VSLs, because I was like, well, I got to be the best at VSLs, but I still don't have a jet. Maybe I should not do VSLs. Maybe I should be an AI product creator. That was kind of it. So that's not in my characteristic personality traits to be an AI product developer. I'm fucking not very good at it. That's for sure. Versus video sales letters.
You have not been in the trenches of making more, no, of that.
No, I should have got an actual product creator instead of being like, I'm going to be the greatest product creator of all time. That is a fucking 10-year, at least a 4 to 5 year skill set, maybe after 2, whatever. But the challenge is with building AI products, everything that I had built, and I built 3 AI companies, including visionboards.ai, myvisionboards.ai, everything I had built, it just got outdated after a year. Like, AI companies are very interesting because they're complicated. They're super expensive because you have to have big developers going on this whole thing. Everybody's doing it. The valuations are really cool. So there's something there, but you literally have to invent a big breakthrough.
I mean, right now I'm using more AI than ever for my BSL stuff. And we recently hit a winner. Flow came out like, I think 2 weeks ago. Now it's the 20th of June. So I think it was like beginning of June. And essentially like a better version of View3. And we started playing with it, and it's so intriguing. Like the stuff you can create, because every time I need to go and shoot stuff, I mean, it's fun, but it's always time consuming. Well, you go into the AI world, you get really good at prompting. And I think the next generation of marketing killers are people that understand media buying / the creation of ads that truly work on platforms, and are equally great prompters. And I think the combination of the two is going to be a killer.
That's a good. So I have on my list right now, I have to send product out to like 20 different actors to get their UGC testimonial experience so that we can collect real testimonials. And, but I would love to have B-roll a lot of these people. Are you finding, because you have to create B-roll, are you doing this a lot for B-roll?
Right now, mainly hooks, but B-roll is great for that. So I mainly focus on like what's grabbing the attention right now, because we have a lot of real B-roll already. When you're looking to fill in the gaps in one of your edits for the VSL and you don't find quite the unique B-roll, then you can just create it and master it. the same time, because we have so many extensive lists and we mainly use stuff we shoot, it's not really required. But I feel like if you're running offers of, I don't know, Giddy Up, where there are no VSLs, there is some materials that you can use, but you need to create more B-rolls yourself, then I think that would be a great use. And right now, the cool thing is you can extend these clips, so you can have the same person appear in multiple scenes, which I think is great and also super new, because before it was extremely hard to try to keep the same AI generated person and have that person appear in multiple scenarios. There were some, I don't know, ArcAds AI that maybe had some pre-recorded UGC, so you could clone yourself and put yourself in different, but that's still different. Right now, oh my God, the AI videos that I see on Instagram that are going viral are pretty fire.
They're so funny.
They're pretty funny.
Yeah, they are super good. So I like the conversation of hooks also. I saw a Twitter post that went viral about diet, and the first thing was this image. It's like an animated body with a ton of belly fat around it. You know, when you can see the person's belly fat, the yellow belly fat, all of this like kind of skeleton. And then you can see the belly fat shrinking in the animation, like it's going away. And that was an amazing hook on Twitter, and everyone was loving it. So when you're thinking about hooks, are you thinking about animating, if you could animate the problem disappearing in a 4-second video to grab people's attention? What are you thinking about when you think about hooks?
Can be anything. So in my case, I use a lot of foods, and maybe I use also these body scan where I do a split screen. Half is a body scan, half is certain foods with a hook, like these 3 foods can, I don't know, be the enemy of your weight goals, whatever that may be. But I can create like really funny looking foods that make you stop. So for example, you can just make a simple pasta. Everyone knows pasta. But then what if you turn it blue?
Yeah.
You turn pasta blue and you're like, this type of whatever. Like just the visual itself is like, what's going on? Or the egg yolk, yellow to green. Like sometimes when I shoot things, or the team shoots a lot of things, we throw, unfortunately, a lot of food away because we burn shit, we make things explode, we melt things, we mix things that shouldn't be mixed. So then you can just use AI to do that essentially. And you don't have to, if I have an idea at midnight, I don't have to wait for the store to open and go shop for it. I can just buy it.
Yeah, it's true.
So then, yes, but then I feel like because we're just starting to use it more and more, that we're just scratching the surface, because what's possible and the creative ideas are unlimited. And we're just thinking about the boundaries of reality that we're used to. While with AI, you can tell to create anything and just like really trip with it and start creating things that people have never seen. So I feel like that's the difficulty right now, to imagine the unimaginable, knowing that it's actually possible to create. And I think that's exciting.
What do you think are some of the core principles of hooks? The first 3 seconds of what makes it amazing. What are we trying to accomplish with amazing?
Oh, well, obviously, always make people stop and intrigue in what you have to say next. And there's so much competition online that you need to become a master at that. I always say that a lot of people like change entire ads on and on. While I always say that if you just refresh the hooks, at least for the next few months, the same ad can last forever. I'm running the same VSL since 5 years. The same VSL, now we're not using it as a standalone ad. We're using it down the funnel, but it's the same thing. And when we just continuously rehash the intros, the hooks leading to a VSL page, leading to a quiz funnel, the hook is vital, I mean. And if you extend
100%.
it to the first minute, the longevity of your campaign can be insane. And obviously you need to work with good partners, because some offer just like die because the company dies behind it, but the product and the angle doesn't die. So you just always need to rehash.
So I remember making lots of hooks, and some of them I'm going for like weird, let me do something weird to grab attention. But I often tell that like weird and irrelevant doesn't work. Like you have to like have something that's kind of aligned at the same time. So there is something. What do you feel about that?
Sometimes I get ideas thrown at me like from teams, like, what if we make this explode? I was like, yeah, but then what's the point? Like, how do you connect it to the next topic? So I feel like making relevant hooks is so important. That's why, like, I see ads divided in different blocks. There's the hook, and then there's the first minute, first 30 seconds where you talk about a specific problem, angle, food, whatever that may be. The more of those blocks you have that you can swap in and test different ads, the more creative you can be with hooks. Because otherwise, like, imagine you need to create the same hook for the same first 30 seconds. At some point, you're going to run out of ideas and you're going to start doing stupid shit that is completely unrelated because you run out of them. So I think it's so important to have different blocks right after the hook so you can stay creative and continue making hooks that are related to the next topic, because they don't work. Like if I put kittens that, I don't know, do something stupid and then I switch into supplements, it will never work. So I agree.
If you were to create a world-class prompt in like ChatGPT and you were to tell it to help you come up with epic hooks that would come up with like ideas like blue pasta, you know, the blue pasta ideas or those kind of, what would you say if you wanted to come up with ideas for you?
ChatGPT is all right. I think you need to stay creative and have the antenna ready, because yeah, it might give you some, but usually they're not as great. So what I did is I took 9 frameworks that are always used in all my winning hooks, because it's always the same. Conversions, surprising facts about a food, or whatever that may be. I fed it to Poppy AI. Poppy AI is just a smart interface to connect things and give different sources to AI chat. And I think I use Claude on there, but you can pick if you want to use ChatGPT.
That's what I use, this Claude.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. So there, I feed it different, like a document with all the frameworks, some hooks, and then new topics. And I feel like that's where the quality brainstorming kicks in. ChatGPT is a standalone, maybe. Poppy AI with frameworks, with a lot of things that worked in the past and stressing it with new ideas, I think that's the key takeaway. But it's not like it can't suggest visuals. Like it tells you in writing what visual could be, but I think like it's always on you to be able to pick those signals and then transform it into significant visuals. So I feel like it's not completely hands off, but it's like the greatest partner ever to work with, AI in general. So I feel
100%. It really is. Yeah. So when it comes to the headlines, like that headline that you mentioned, what 3 foods, like the 3 food stuff has been around since the dawn of like fucking supplements almost. So like those specific angles. When you're thinking about headlines, are you going into like the historical database of what's worked in the past and like leaning more on that? Or are you getting more creative?
If I look at something, it's mainly my own work, because I mean, I've tested so many hooks. I've seen so many of all the content. Like Gandry is almost like my best friend. We never really hanged out, but I've seen his face more than I've seen, I don't know, my ex-girlfriend's face probably by now. And I learn from my own, but I try not to copy others. And mainly if I take inspiration, it comes from random sources. Like I'm on Instagram, I scroll and I see a video about something completely different, but the design of the hook, I take that and apply to maybe my own hooks. Or I try to like really lock in, because I mean, affiliates, the game is rip and run, which is absolutely fair. And you should do that if you're just starting out and if you want to product test especially. Like you don't want to put in too much in production, because it's probably not a good idea. Unless you have an amazing brand, you want to apply strategies that work for other brands that are similar, then okay, you go full production. But if you're just testing, like if you sign up on GiddyUp, ClickBank, whatever, you're competing with everyone else. I think rip and running at first is great. For scaling is not great at all. I want to stay creative by blocking out I don't use spy tools as much. Like I always give them to the team if they want to take a look at it, but I prefer not to.
I do love spy tools are like my news. You know, instead of watching Fox News, I just watch spy tools.
That's a good
love watching this stuff.
Yeah.
And I love seeing all these things. So it just keeps me like more up to speed. But I'm definitely at the point where, you know, I'm blazing my own trail in terms of knowing how I want to make a VSL, or what the VSLs that I want to rewrite are my VSLs now. Like that's what I want to do. I could keep growing off of my own stuff, but I do love just seeing what campaigns are working and what's winning and like angles and stuff like that.
Only if you're new to the game, you have the fear that things are going to die, because I mean, certain things die, but like you as a individual in this career are always going to find something that's going to work. Products are still going to be sold. The same problems are there. That's why I'm like, after some time, you know, you stress out when you see campaigns going up, you're like flying. You think like, oh, I'm untouchable, jet money, here we come. Then it starts dropping. You're like, then it goes back up. And then if you zoom out, like in my last 5 years alone, just VSLs alone, I sometimes I thought VSLs were dead, but that's not true. So right now I'm just
Yeah, people
chilling.
say that, but it just doesn't make sense because you can only read something or watch something at the end of the day. You know, that's and people like movies. If movies die, then I'll be concerned that VSLs die. But people will binge watch 8 hours of fucking videos at any moment. It's an easy excuse for uh, being a crappy VSL maker, or like whoever being a crack. That's when my VSL sucked. It just sucked, or whatever. Or I'm in a bad niche, or what. There's always you never know. But it's pretty complicated to grab a stranger's attention and hold it for a while and get him to buy.
So the new venture you're focusing on, without revealing too much, is it gonna be around VSLs or like just creating?
Well, that's still my main thing. Like the only thing that's ever even made me money has been making winning VSLs. That's actually the only thing. I go back to the drawing board on like one of the biggest campaigns that I personally ever had. Thankfully, I had some really cool, manifesty kind of relationships that just suddenly appeared. So now I'm rocking and rolling. But at the end of the day, all the biggest campaigns that I've ever had have one thing in common. It's just a world-class story from a world-class individual blowing up who was frustrated with a certain situation and decided to make something or partner with somebody that made something. And now they wanted to get it out to the world. That's a really cool angle because there are a lot of world-class savage. Give me a product idea, for example, and we could talk about how to sell it.
A health tracking device for your, like a Whoop or an Aura, but a new one.
Let's say we got a Whoop, it tracks your health and all that stuff. Now, if you're hanging out with me, you will know that we're not just making some video sales letter campaigns to make $1,000 a day or whatever. We are going to create the most dominant, most gangster product in this niche on the planet and have a VSL campaign that is so fucking meteorically bigger than any other campaign in the industry that we're just going to be reining it in and having a blast. So how do we specifically do that? Well, it's not going to be the whole, hey, ChatGPT, how do I make a video sales letter about this? Oh, do you have worries that you're not sleeping well and blah, blah, blah? Do you do this? Like, that's the first thing that all the people make the mistake doing is they just ask those questions. When it comes to a wearable sleep device, one of my favorite tools is the deep research on the AI. So the first thing I have to do is we have to figure out exactly what are the problems that somebody is having who has bought something like this. So I would go on something like Whoop, a competitor, find all of their reviews. I want to know in my own customer's language, what specific problem situations were they experiencing before they solved that, right? Calling it the kindergarten simple pitch, if you ever take my training courses, and really get what was the root cause of the problem and what was the root solution. And then how does all the features inside of this thing solve that? And then the amazing benefits at the end. So like step one is we have to get crystal clear on the sales pitch in a way that's kindergarten simple, and even a 10-year-old would be like, yeah, I get that, right? Like, oh, it tracks your stuff, tracks this, that, and the other thing. Well, all of that's cool, but the first mechanism to massive influence is obviously the authority figure, right? So I have to find somebody who is the most my brain is going, who is the most influential, authoritative person on the planet when it comes to tracking devices or comes to solving this specific problem. Could be a doctor who has his own clinic. He's probably been researching this stuff forever. Could be the guy who invented the product in the first place.
Could be a user that had a transformation through it and that becomes a spokesperson as well. For example, like a lot of watching, they can't work with these authority or like the brand owner, or they have a doctor. But I feel like what always works also extremely well is if you have someone that actually used the product and their life changed in whatever. So in this case, someone that maybe found out about a health problem that the device kept showing up and no doctor could find it, and that could be life-changing. I'm working on a brand where the girlfriend of the CEO, her life was saved through their own program that they're selling, and that became one of the top ads.
Now, that's one way to do it, for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's levels to it, because there's what would convert, what would be profitable, and then if we were going to like the greatest ads on the planet for this specific niche, this is the direction that I would be running, is finding these massive things. Because you want to have at least 8 transformational testimonials of people who used this thing and had an amazing transformation. You want to rapid fire these incredible testimonials. But somebody is the more authoritative than anybody. Somebody has a better story than anybody. Who is the Michael Jordan of the health tracking industry, who's who's more qualified to even speak about this than anyone else ever. And I want to know, what's his story? How did he get into this? What has he been using with his clinic? Because very quickly, with one cool partnership idea, you could have somebody who's already has an amazing story. There's a cool quote, which I love, which is those who teach were often those who once needed it the most. So the teachers and the Michael Jordans, anyone who becomes the greatest at a space probably had a fucking great rock bottom moment, which really painfulized them and inspired them to become one of the greats. So there's something going on there. And a lot of times they already have a lot of data with the people. And you know what I learned is a lot of times when I do the research on the kindergarten simple pitch, I'm fucking wrong. I'm like coming up with how I think it works. I show my VSL to a Mind Valley author and they're like, that's not how it works. That's not even my story. So many times the AI will just make shit up. Like AI is often wrong, especially deep research is often wrong all the time. So part of my thing is I have to go to the Michael Jordan and not just ask him if he wants to work with me. I have to ask him if I got my homework right. It's more like, did I get this right? I want to know if are you seeing this in your own clinic? Often I'm going with one product idea to a Michael Jordan and then him being like, I would never do that. I actually do this. Instead, I'm like, oh, fuck, let's sell that. Instead, that's a way better idea than what my idea was. I totally missed the whole thing. So that will help you create a story that nobody else and none of your competitors can sell. Because if you want to be different with your ads, you have to say something nobody else can say. What this guy can't say was, blah, 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 blah. This is my story. I went on, I started doing sleep tracking inside of my studio and I started doing this and people started to transform or whatever. But I wanted to have a way for people to reach more people. So I partnered with this company to get this sleep track thing. And now we're releasing it and people are changing their lives around the world. VSL 101 is more deal creation 101 at a higher level. And then my job is to put a high level overview of what a VSL could look like, find the flow that would work well. And then I kind of give that to a writer to help flush it out. That's how I would think about going about making these big things. And if you use deep research, you can find and make these relationships. And if you come to them as a student, trying to see if you got your homework right, he will like you a lot and he will be interested in what you're doing. And if you give him 1% of the revenue, you might have a thing there, or he might be interested in that, or at least some sort of credibility boosting piece on that. But yeah, partnering with him is how you would make massive campaigns. Or if he didn't even have an epic story and you couldn't find the Michael Jordan, you could also find somebody who's just an amazing person in this space, an amazing person that would be the greatest of all time. And then you could find another story, the origin story of what was the origin story of how sleep trackers were created or whatever. What was the clinical studies that really blew the minds out of people around the world that made him start to even go on it? What was the thing that made this amazing person even decide to start using it in his practice? So you could get a world-class authority figure who's just great, and he could tell the story of how this created, and then he could tell his own story on how he uses it in his clinic, and then you could be buying it today.
I think getting to the high level pitch comes in stages, unless you just go for a home run right away. But I feel like if you're starting out, it's extremely difficult to even, it sounds amazing. And it is true. If you look at the big campaigns, it's freaking phenomenal. That's why a lot of people, they mimic these stories. They write amazing stories with people that don't even exist. So it's a fairy tale, but it still sells. And somewhat deceiving, somewhat justifiable because you're just starting out. I think if you're doing it with good intention and you don't deceive hard, but you're doing a good marketing story without making false claims, I think it's okay.
But as for the younger guys who are just getting started, the best way to go is, I would say, using deep research to find the most inspirational stories of all time that have inspired the most amount of people to purchase a product like that. If you were selling creatine, I have a coaching call with a kid selling creatine. I already know I'm just going to deep research what are the greatest stories of all time that inspired the most people to use creatine. And then I'm going to take those angles and I'm going to find the greatest VSLs in my swipe file that are 3 to 5 minutes long. And I'm just going to have AI rewrite those for his product. That alone, you can make tons of angles super, super fast, telling a story about whatever. But definitely, I've only made money from stories. So I highly recommend people do stories and run stories, tell stories for the win.
You joined Mind Valley for VSLs, and back then I think they were only running webinars, right? And then you transformed those extracted probably more information that are more relevant as a story and made a VSL out of it, no?
That was it. They try to give 3 tips. They do like the webinars, get 3 free tips, and then the webinar Brunson style. But I'm like, here's the tip. If you don't fucking buy this, you're going to die or your life's going to suck. There's your pro tip right there. So buy it today. So like that was it. Like,
Yeah, don't use this,
webinar.
Guys. If you're watching, don't use the exact same claim.
I mean, in a nutshell, like that's the pro tip. Your life is sucking. Let's fucking fix it. There's your pro advice right now.
But that's a good point. Like I feel like a lot of people forget that they might actually be able to help others. They just focus on the dashboard numbers, which can be great. But if you're actually helping and you channel your energy and actually extracting the right things, you're going to sell more. I probably made the first VSL in the lead gen space, as in the affiliate space at least. So I wrote a VSL for people in debt. So how the process works, why it's good, who is this person. I had to do a bunch of research who that person could be. Couldn't find one. Simply use an actor. But I completely explain the entire process. So you join and you actually know what's happening and how this program can genuinely help you, not with the deceitfulness of all the competitors. Lead quality was great, but you end up competing with black hatters that then can kill your campaign or kill the space in general. And I think that's kind of a bit the problem. So some spaces are not great. But I have seen another VSL of my partners and they're doing really well. And they have one of the Shark Tank guys and I believe they did decent and they're still doing decent. I haven't checked in a while, but they had a real story. So what was his name? Is Robert, one of the Shark Tank guys. And
Robert, yeah.
And he actually worked an insurance company, I believe it was, or I forgot the story, but anyways, he had a real story and that made all the difference. But when you want to land these type of authority figures, that's when it gets tricky. So I actually interviewed a person, his name is Micol, and he's the interview is inside of my Skaters Pro program, but essentially he's the guy responsible to create these authority figure deals where big names come in and they take a chunk of potentially equity or a lot of money up front, but you get to work with these giants that then on a VSL front, damn. I have a wet dream, right? A VSL for Cristiano Ronaldo. And who knows? That'd be fucking sick. Speaking of Whoop or...
You could do it.
Could, yeah.
That'd be sick. That'd be amazing. He'd be good for leads. Yeah, for sure.
Oh. Yeah, I'm making some step forwards towards that dream. Let's see where it goes. But...
let's go. Love it, dog. Love it. You get Chris Ronaldo's doctor, and then you get Chris for a good 60-second lead.
Yeah, that'd be a wet
It's dream. Like if you took who's the guy that wrote Relentless? Tim Grover. It's like if you got Tim Grover to be the spokesperson. He wrote the book Relentless. He was Michael Jordan's coach, and if you got Michael Jordan to do a lead, and this was my coach Tim Grover, and then he sells you on the fucking. It's like over, right?
Would you say the next thing you're working on is the ultimate goal for you?
So my mission is to become the most world-class role model that I possibly can for making all of your dreams come true. So part of being that person is to make all of my dreams come true. So I have to stack every wish I've ever had, no dreams left behind. And then I can start doing cool events and teaching and, hey, let's get your spirituality and your mindset and your skills dialed in. And I can have the type of authority that makes people want to pay attention. So I just be the best version of myself that I can be.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Yeah, nice, Pete. Yeah, I want to see that.
If I can give these kids one last thing, here's some wisdom. Every sale you make either adds to your karmic bank or it takes away from your karmic bank. You're either helping people or you're hurting people, and that's called karma. And the fucking universe always knows how to boomerang that shit back to you. So you can make all the money in the world, but if you make it with bad karma, right? But I don't know what's going to happen, but it's not going to be good. So you make more money doing positive karma things. Imagine if every sale you made was adding value and the universe owed you money. Imagine if the universe owed you for how much fucking sick shit it is, and it pays you in other beautiful ways, not even in money, you make money in all these other things, right? So remember that.
Thank you, Pete.
Thank you, Alex. Good hanging, bro. It's always great to catch up with you.
Yeah.
Best of luck on affiliate takeover. I hope to make it there.